tonight, from bad to worse.
Because we're worried about so much. And it's hard, and especially when you have kids and you're trying to be strong for them too.
Wildfire breaches the community of Leaf Rapids amid conflicting accounts of how crews responded. Also tonight, vigilance in the village.
But what I do know is when we deploy extra resources in an area, we have a profound effect.
How police are planning to crack down on rising violence in Osborne Village. Plus, a humble hero.
You didn't flinch, you didn't hesitate. You acted quickly, calmly, and with deep care.
Hear from a Brandon School resource officer who was just awarded Manitoba's highest honor.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine Dow. Marilee is away. Fire crews are battling a blaze that has now entered Leaf Rapids. The wildfire jumped the Churchill River yesterday and is now in the evacuated community of 300. The heat and smoke were so bad, firefighters had to back away temporarily. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So Jeff, what is the latest on the fire?
Unfortunately, 5 to 7 structures have been damaged. One of them is a residence. The rest were abandoned. Firefighters are trying to save Leaf Rapids from a wildfire that has now spread to the community as evacuees in Winnipeg desperately try to get up-to-date information on their town.
I was just having really bad anxiety, and my heart was just really scared because all of our family's house is there.
On Wednesday, the fire jumped the Churchill River, damaging 5 to 7 structures. One was a residence, the rest were abandoned. Some vehicles and hydro poles also burned. The power is still on. It happened so fast, firefighters had to retreat for an hour because of the scorching conditions before going back to continue the fight.
The fire's behavior yesterday was very, very intense. Crews talked about how the fire was essentially creating its own weather, and there was all this additional wind and heat.
They fought the fire through the night and are still there as we speak.
But there was confusion. The town initially posted the firefighters had left for good. That was corrected by the province Thursday morning.
To me, the province is what I feel like has done nothing but abandon us.
The miscommunication is frustrating for evacuees who've been staying in Winnipeg hotel rooms for a couple of weeks. Some rallied at Garbage Hill, calling for more supports and better communication.
Well, it's hard, especially worrying about everything at home, not knowing if we're going to have anything to come back home to, and just how different the town looks already.
Leaf Rapids has been without a mayor and council for 6 years. The town's admin is appointed by the province, who is promising some information sessions.
I can't explain the discrepancy. As I said, we're going to work together with the town to make sure that the information is timely.
The town says an information session for Leaf Rapids residents is being held right now, 6 p.m. in the restaurant of the Travel Lodge at 1400 Notre Dame Avenue. It includes representatives from the town, Red Cross, and Emergency Social Services.
So Jeff, how is the firefight in Leaf Rapids going? Provincial
officials said today, given the wind direction today, they do expect another challenging day for crews at Leaf Rapids, but they do see rain in the forecast starting tomorrow. The hope is if that rain falls, that would stabilize the situation.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. Meantime, there are still 120 active wildfires. One is threatening Snow Lake. Hud Bay has announced it has evacuated its mine near the town as a precaution. The Wildfire Service says Snow Lake crews are ready if it gets closer. On the bright side, the situation has improved for communities of Garden Hill and Thompson. Rain has helped the firefighting efforts there, and officials say things have improved at Split Lake and Opaskwayak Cree Nation to the point where evacuees could soon be allowed to go home. And we're learning today one of the 3 workers trapped underground in BC's Red Chris mine is from Manitoba. BC Premier David Eby initially said 2 were from BC and 1 was from Ontario, But a spokesperson for high-tech drilling said today there is actually one each from BC, Ontario, and Manitoba. The spokesperson said all three are employed by the company as diamond drillers, which refers to the type of bit used to drill into the ground. But they will not be releasing any personal information out of respect for their families. The operator of the mine, Newmont Corp, says the three are trapped behind a wall of debris 20 and 30 meters long. Specialized equipment and crews have been brought in to rescue them. They've been trapped since Tuesday, but the company says they have access to a refuge station and enough supplies for an extended stay. Winnipeg police are promising to crack down on crime in Osborne Village. Let's bring in CTV's Taylor Brock with more on this. So Taylor, what spurred today's announcement?
Well, a number of factors, Catherine. For one thing, police say assaults in the village are up 44% this year, and business owners have had enough, including the owner of Fresh Sliced Pizza on River in Osborne, which opened last year.
I got assaulted 20 times. I don't have the exact number, just by myself. I'm not including my employees. And it's not like I'm not making money into something. Like, it's good, business is good, but the problem is the crime. And I already think, like a couple months ago, if this thing will be continued, I will close my doors.
The owner says some people are so bold they return to his restaurant after being arrested to taunt him. Now the police service says it's redoubling its presence in the village, and you can expect to see many more uniformed and plainclothed officers. They'll also be dropping in local businesses throughout the day.
We have dedicated community support unit officers that work right out of West District, and when other units and officers are available, we will be supplementing those officers, and that's going to fluctuate from day to day. For example, we have 30-plus officers in here today. Tomorrow it might be 20 officers. The next day it might be 40 officers. It's really dependent on what else is going on throughout the city.
Police say reported incidents of violent crime in Osborne Village peaked in 2023, but since then has come down slightly.
So Taylor, this sounds a lot like the retail theft initiative police introduced 2 years ago. Is this basically the same thing?
Well, not quite, Catherine. That initiative was possible because the province stepped up to cover overtime costs for police officers. Now, in this case, the police service is drawing on its existing complement, primarily from the West District. For now, the program is scheduled to run until November, at which time police say they'll reassess.
All right, thanks for this, Taylor. And today's announcement came just hours before a community forum was scheduled to take place about safety in Osborne Village. Media wasn't invited inside, but CTV News heard from a number of people on their way in about how safe they feel.
I'm more optimistic. I've really never personally had a problem in this area, and I've always felt safe, but it's more so I am seeing the rise in it, and so I want it to I want to keep feeling safe in my community rather than worry about walking home at night.
To be fair, I think they've done a lot about cleaning up this corner here, with the police walking around and stuff like that. That's improved for sure. The closing of the Starbucks, and that's helped a bit too, but you can't close all the stores kind of deal, right? On the other hand, you walk into Shoppers and there's guards all over the place.
There's a new and improved way to cool off in St. Vital. That's Councillor Marcus Chambers taking the inaugural dip into the newly renovated water play park at the Dakota Community Centre. Improvements include new features to spray and dump water, a new pump, and an accessible rubberized flat surface.
What this is all about is an investment. Yes, it's an investment in infrastructure, a water park, spray pad features, but it's really about investing in people. It's about providing the services that families need in our community.
The Dakota Water Play Park is open 7 days a week from 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. All the city's wading pools, outdoor pools, and splash pads are open for the season. You can head to winnipeg.ca/pools for locations and hours. CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady joins us now with a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Speaking of moisture, Colleen, I know we were hearing earlier how desperately needed some rainfall is, particularly in the north. Is Mother Nature delivering on that front?
Well, and as Jeff mentioned, showers are expected to move into those areas that so desperately need the rain where those wildfires continue to burn. As early as overnight, we'll start to see them move in, courtesy of a low that's crossing northern Saskatchewan now. So on the one hand, that's good news. On the other hand, they also carry the risk of thunderstorms. So if obviously we don't need to see any lightning strikes up there, but those areas obviously under an air quality warning tonight issued by Environment Canada. So that includes places like Lynn Lake and Leaf Rapids, Flin Flon. But over the course of the day, Environment Canada has been extending those air quality warnings further east across the north. This afternoon, Thompson and central areas went under that warning. And just before the 6 o'clock newscast started, Catherine, eastern Manitoba, or parts of eastern Manitoba up into the northeast, including Island Lake, went under that warning as well. So I'll have more details on that and a look ahead to the heat. It's about to get a lot hotter in Manitoba as well. Let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, 26 degrees with the Humidex. It feels like 29. Winds 12 kilometers an hour coming from the west-northwest. The pressure is dropping and the humidity right now, Catherine, is 50%. How about that? Right on the nose, 50%.
Thanks, Colleen. The provincial NDP is tapping the former assistant to cabinet minister Glenn Simard as their candidate for the upcoming Spruce Woods by-election. It comes after the previous PC MLA stepped down to run in the 2025 federal election. Ray Berthollet, a real estate agent and former corrections officer, is hoping to turn the formerly blue seat orange. The PCs and Liberals already named their candidates. A by-election date has not yet been set, but must be held by September 16th. A true Manitoba hero. That's how a Brandon School resource officer is being described after his quick action stopped a horrifying attack. Last month, a student was brutally injured in what police described was a racially motivated attack with a sword. Constable Moshe Linoff was one of the first police officers on the scene. And as CTV's Danton Unger reports, today his actions were honored.
An act of bravery that saved lives. On Thursday at Brandon City Hall, Premier Wab Kinew presented Constable Moshe Linoff and Brandon Police first responders with the Order of the Buffalo Hunt.
Out of a terrible tragedy comes an opportunity to highlight and salute some of the heroes who walk among us, including Moshe Linoff, Constable, who is here with us and is a true Manitoba hero.
Constable Linoff is the resource officer at Neelan High School, and he was there on June 10th during a horrific attack. Grade 10 student Chinonso Onuke was brutally injured after being stabbed and slashed multiple times with a large sword in what police describe as a racially motivated attack. Constable Linoff responded within minutes.
You didn't flinch, you didn't hesitate. You acted quickly, calmly, and with deep care. It's because of you that lives were protected and further tragedy was prevented.
Nuke is still healing from the attack that's left him with scars. Recovery is slow, but he's making progress.
I'm able to move all my fingers now.
Progress, he says, might not have been possible without the actions of Constable Linoff, who not only saved his life, but likely the lives of his classmates as well.
It's like things happen, and they were able to apprehend the guy before it could get to anyone else. So that was really good.
With Linoff's name officially added to the Order of the Buffalo Hunt, he joins the likes of Queen Elizabeth II, Mother Teresa, Burton Cummings, and most recently, the first responders at the Carberry bus crash tragedy. But for Linoff, he says he doesn't think of himself as a hero.
They say I'm a hero, but I think I just did my job. It's what I was trained, it's what I was hired for, it's what my job.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Brandon.
Windsor police have made 2 arrests in a massive whiskey heist. Police released this surveillance video of 2 suspects wanted for stealing $500,000 worth of Crown Royal in May. Crown Royal is distilled in Gimli. 1,000 boxes were stolen on May 17th from a secured lot. The truck was driven into the country where cameras picked up the load. A total of 8 people have now been charged in connection with the theft. Farmers will have a chance to safely dispose of any expired or unwanted pesticides and medications this fall. A company called Clean Farms will be touring the country later this year. They accept unwanted agricultural pesticides, pest control products, and livestock and equine medications. There will be nearly 24 drop-off locations spread out across southern Manitoba between October 27th and 31st. You can head to cleanfarms.ca for a full list of those locations, and there is no charge for the service. Still ahead, the dramatic conclusion to that high-profile sexual assault trial involving former World Junior hockey players.
Justice Caracia has done a thorough and careful analysis and delivered a just verdict.
Why a judge has found all 5 men not guilty, and what she had to say about the unnamed complainant's testimony. Stay with us. If you live in Thompson, Flin Flon, or Snow Lake, get ready for a little bump in your propane rates next week. The Public Utilities Board has approved a rate increase, which it says will add about $5 a year to your bill. This comes after the PUB approved an 11% decrease for those communities earlier this year. Today, the PUB also approved a rate drop for Centra Gas, which it says will lower costs for the average residential customer by $36 a year. Both rates come into effect August 1st and will be reviewed again in November. Turning to the markets now, crude oil added 78 cents. The dollar is down slightly. Gold lost $24. The TSX is down 44 points. The Dow Jones fell 316 points, and the Nasdaq gained 37 points. Canada's largest grocery store chain is reporting a boost in its revenues. Loblaw's retail sales rose 5.4% over last year. The company says the Buy Canadian movement has many consumers switching to locally made goods. A courtroom in Ontario was on edge for hours, waiting for a judge to go over the evidence, the arguments, and present her analysis in the blockbuster sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players. The issue of consent front and center. In the end, all 5 men were found not guilty on all counts. CTV's Adrian Gobriel on the extraordinary drama playing out in a packed courtroom.
The pressure-packed culmination of a historic 8-week criminal trial.
Definitely been emotional for everybody involved.
With the defendants arriving for decision day inside, the proceedings began with a recap of the evidence brought before the courts. Justice Maria Caracia opened by proclaiming that she didn't find the evidence of EM, the complainant, to be either credible or reliable.
There were videos that were put to her. There was testimony of other hockey players. She was heavily cross-examined on that to raise some doubt about her credibility.
During a brief break in today's proceedings before the verdicts were even delivered, the accused hockey players were seen smiling and hugging their lawyers and family members in the courtroom. While delivering her verdicts, Justice Caracia told the court that where EM had gaps in her memory, she filled them with assumptions. Going on to share that EM testified that while at Jack's Bar in London, Ontario, it was the players who bought her drinks all night, though video evidence shows EM purchasing multiple beverages herself. Previously, EM told the courts that on the night of June 18, 2018, she'd arrived at a downtown hotel with Michael McLeod, where they had consensual sex. Afterwards, McLeod then sent this text message to teammates asking who wants to be in a, quote, 3-way. Multiple teammates arrived at room 209. EM alleged that she was, quote, manipulated and intimidated into remaining inside this hotel room. Though in her findings, Justice Caracia shared that she couldn't find any of the players guilty of sexual assault beyond a reasonable doubt. Former World Junior Team Canada captain Dylan Dubé and teammates Cal Foote, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, and Alex Fermenton have each been found not guilty of sexual assault. McLeod has also been found not guilty of being party to the offense.
We heard protesters scream for justice today. Has justice been served?
Yes, I think that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to see justice served here, and Justice Caracia has done a thorough and careful analysis and delivered a just verdict, and so that's what we've seen here today.
As part of her reasons for her decision, Justice Caracia also added that she was satisfied that EM encouraged the men inside that hotel room to take part in the sexual acts and even became upset when they declined her invitation. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, London, Ontario.
An ever-shifting goalpost for a Canada-U.S. trade deal. The latest to weigh in again, Pete Heckstra, the U.S. ambassador to Canada, suggesting a framework for a deal may not happen by August 1st, but within the following 2 to 4 to 6 weeks. CTV's Abigail Beeman on how most agree the deadline is fluid.
Dominic LeBlanc wrapped up Washington meetings, including with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, for now.
We're going to continue to work towards the August 1st deadline. We're going to be back here again next week. But all of these deadlines are with the understanding that we'll take the time necessary to get the best deal.
While this Republican senator is less optimistic about the timing.
I wish that I could say it feels good that this is all going to be taken care of before the 1st of August, but I'm not sensing that.
Still, Canada is stressing there's progress, the ambassador pointing to the Prime Minister's announcement targeting cheap foreign steel imports.
The measures that Canada has taken on steel, in particular against anti-circumvention, are some of the strongest in the world, and that has been recognized and very much appreciated. So we're making some positive progress.
They say they're hurt and they were insulted, and it's kind of like, well, it's not a whole lot of people or countries that we've asked to become the 51st state that I can remember.
Meanwhile, we're hearing more from U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Pete Heckstra. CTV News obtained the full video of his comments at a summit where he made headlines for this.
Well, there are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with.
He also weighed in on that August 1st deadline.
Whether it's August 1, I don't see it extending a lot past that. I'd be surprised if we were still talking about it on September 1.
Ambassador Heckstra also said he's optimistic about the future, but there needs to be more advocates for the Canada-U.S. relationship. From his position, 90 days into the job, he says there aren't any. As he put it, there are political parties saying elbows up and relative quiet from the business community. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa. There was a bail hearing in Quebec City for 3 men facing terrorism charges. All have ties to the Canadian military. They are accused in an alleged anti-government plot. The Crown is opposing bail for Simon Anger-Audet, Raphael Lagacé, and Marc-Aurel Chabot. Lawyers for the 3 accused requested and have received a publication ban on details of the testimony in court. A 4th accused, Matthew Forbes, is facing weapons charges and was granted bail last week. There are reports that Israel and the U.S. have withdrawn from ceasefire talks with Hamas. U.S. officials say they will now consider alternative options, but did not specify what those alternatives might be. Meanwhile, France has announced it will recognize a Palestinian state. Emmanuel Macron says he will formalize the decision at the United Nations General Assembly in September. The president added that he hopes it will help bring peace to the region. France is the first major Western power to recognize a Palestinian state. It joins more than 140 other countries, including more than a dozen in Europe. Israel says today's announcement is, quote, a disgrace and a surrender to terrorism. A Russian passenger plane has crashed in Eastern Europe. Video of the crash site shows the wreckage of the plane strewn through a densely forested area. The Soviet-era plane went down as it was trying to land. 48 people were killed. At this point, it's not clear what led to the crash. In the UK, a rare snow leopard cub has been born as part of a conservation effort to save the endangered species. The cub is the first of its kind to be born at the Chester Zoo in its 94-year history. Video from the zoo's den cameras showed the 6-week-old and its mother playing and dozing off in the enclosure. The cub's parents were carefully matched together last year as part of an international conservation breeding program. The cub's birth follows the opening of the zoo's Himalayan habitat in May 2024. It boasts a vast rocky environment intended to recreate the mountainous terrain of Central Asia.
And if this gentleman wants to promote that message, he's welcome to do that in his own country.
A controversial American musician is en route to Winnipeg after a series of canceled shows out east. Why some in Canada are saying Sean Foyt should take his message elsewhere. That's ahead.
And a hot start to the weekend and the long-range forecast. Saturday up to 30 degrees, mix of sun and cloud. Then Sunday, still looking quite likely we'll see showers. Not a sure shot, but it's still looking more likely than not. Maybe a thunderstorm as well. 26 is the normal high for this time of year, and that is the forecast high for Sunday. Then a brighter, drier front end of the week next week with highs in the 24-25 degree range right through to Wednesday.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are looking for a win this weekend after a couple of tough losses to the Calgary Stampeders. The Bombers are on their way to Toronto to face the Argonauts on Saturday. Oh, rough. The last time the Bombers played the Argos was the 2024 Grey Cup, where Toronto took a 41-24 victory. This season, the Bombers are in the middle of the pack of the CFL's West Division with 3 wins and 2 losses. So a win against Toronto is important. As always, they'll depend on their field goal kicker, Sergio Castillo. But Mike O'Shea says as a head coach, he leaves his star kicker alone.
No, I leave him alone. Basically, I think that's the standard fare for most kickers, right? If you're with a kicker for a long time and they tell you exactly what they need, then that's sort of the script you follow.
The Bombers and Argos go at it on Saturday at BMO Field. Kickoff is 6 o'clock. We're learning more tonight, meanwhile, about the 2025 Grey Cup Festival in Winnipeg coming this fall. Organizers announced that the RBC Convention Centre will serve as the official headquarters for the festivities between November 13th to 15th. There you can take in parties and entertainment, and each night brings a new theme and a headline act. And also announced today at Princess Auto Stadium is a culinary event. Taste of the CFL brings together top chefs from each CFL city for a showdown in game day cuisine. You can sample dishes and drinks and vote for Canada's best stadium food. The convention center will also be home to a Grey Cup gala.
Social passes go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. As I said, 50% are already sold, those 3-day passes, which is truly remarkable. 90% of the Grey Cup tickets are currently sold for the game on Sunday.
Festival right here in Winnipeg.
For information and tickets, visit greycupfestival.ca.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady has your complete Skywatch weather forecast. I'm glancing at the radar behind you. Not as eventful as yesterday, Colleen.
No, and a little less smoky for folks around Brandon tonight. We've got some wind shifting coming gently out of the southwest in behind a ridge of high pressure that's sort of built over the region. And the expectation is that should keep some fresh smoke out of your region for the next couple of days. So that's good there. Further north, though, of course, we have several regions in northern Manitoba tonight under Environment Canada's air quality warning. And as I mentioned, they've been rolling out further and further east throughout the course of the day. And just before the beginning of the newscast, they were extended into places like Island Lake. So winds relatively light up there, and that will help to keep that smoke pooled close to the source region of those fires. But there will be some rain coming through. I'll show you that on the Futurecast in just a moment. Next door, though, in northwestern Ontario, we had air quality warnings in effect there last night. They've now been downgraded to special air quality statements, but still worth noting for Red Lake and Sandy Lake and areas further off to the east. But Kenora, no weather alerts in effect there related to smoke or of any nature for that matter. We head into the night ahead, so not a lot happening. You can see fairly clear in a lot of areas, but we do have this advancing area of low pressure crossing northern Saskatchewan. It's going to spill some showers over the border, perhaps as early as overnight or just before morning into places like Lynn Lake. But Lynn Lake and Flin Flon should see some showers come through tomorrow. Other areas will as well. But there's the possibility of thunderstorms as well, which could produce lightning strikes. You see, this is where things look like they're going to be situated in the morning, mid-morning, more so focused in the northwest. As we get a little further on into the day, you can see that more concentrated line of rain shifts more to the northeast, but we have rain further north. It spreads down into the south in more of a scattered fashion. So there is the possibility of late afternoon showers or thunderstorms here in the southeast, although the chance is still on the low side, but it will be very warm tomorrow. And then as we get into late tomorrow night, heading into the weekend, we've got that line of rain from the southwest stretching right through into parts of the northeast. And then we head into the weekend where it will be a very hot start to the weekend across Manitoba, but you can see sky conditions clearer. For tonight for Winnipeg, 15 degrees our overnight low. We're in that pocket of the evening where there is still at least the risk of a thunderstorm, partly cloudy, otherwise light winds. Mainly sunny for the commute tomorrow, warm, 18 degrees. Winds strengthen a bit as we get into the afternoon out of the south, all the way up to 30 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud. And again, there is that low chance of showers or a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Friday already tomorrow, the UV index is 8 or very high. Up into the northeast we go, where the sky will become clear tonight over Churchill, dropping down to 10 there. Little less clear, but almost as much for Gillam. Partly cloudy for Island Lake under that air quality warning. Same thing for Thompson, 10 degrees overnight there. And as you saw in the futurecast, tomorrow afternoon is when those showers move into that region. Into the northwest tonight, overnight, Lynn Lake should see the first of those showers down to 14 there. Flin Flon, Ocean, and the Paw, partly cloudy. And then tomorrow, showers spread across the region, but some of those areas may see some sun first, more so Norway House and maybe the Paw. For the southwest tonight, increasing cloud the further south you go. Brandon, 14 overnight, 14 and clearer for Dauphin. And then tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud again with that late afternoon chance of showers or thunderstorms. 31 for Dauphin, 29 for Brandon and those surrounding communities. Winnipeg in the southeast, partly cloudy tonight, overnight lows in the mid-teens. And then tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud, hot highs around 29, 30 with that chance of late afternoon showers. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, pretty uneventful. Overnight lows in the mid-teens. And then tomorrow, hot and sunny with hot highs of 27 and 28 degrees. Our first weather photo takes us to beautiful Spruce Woods Provincial Park. Very picturesque look there out onto the water. That photo is from Wendy. And check out this stunner. This is up in Churchill from Jean-Claude. He calls it the Fireweed Sunset. And that again is over beautiful Churchill, Manitoba. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. A controversial American musician has a show booked in Winnipeg next month. This after the Christian singer has had the plug pulled on several of his concerts after some residents and faith leaders shared concerns about his message. As CTV's Paul Hollingsworth shows us, Sean Foyt remains defiant.
The show must go on, and that's why Sean Foyt moved his outdoor concert to this private property in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. Earlier this week, Foyt was told by Parks Canada his gig at this National Historic Site in Halifax was a no-go. His permit was cancelled. Moncton, Charlottetown, Quebec City, and the Ottawa region have done the same for Foyt's scheduled concerts. The changes were sparked by concerns over public backlash because Foyt is linked to the Trump-led MAGA movement and has spoken out against abortion and LGBTQ+ rights.
This is the classic playbook of the media, of the anti-Christian bigots out there.
Community members say the reaction to Foyt has nothing to do with religion.
I have many friends that are Christian, and they disagree with the way this person is doing things, and he is aligned with Trump, and Trump is at war with Canada.
We have a prime minister who goes around talking about elbows up. And at the same time, the Brains Trust of Parks Canada is allowing that nonsense in a National Historic Site is frankly beyond belief.
Beyond the Maritimes, Quebec and Ontario, Foyt is also scheduled to perform in Western Canada later this summer. United Church lay minister David Roger Gagnon, who describes himself as being openly gay, says Foyt is free to have his views, but that doesn't mean they have a place in this country.
And if this gentleman wants to promote that message, he's welcome to do that in his own country.
Gagnon hopes other cities on the concert tour tell Sean Foyt he should perform somewhere else. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
And Foyt has a free outdoor concert scheduled for August 20th at Winnipeg Central Park. Up next in Medical Watch, a warning over eco-friendly period products. Plus, how many steps do you actually need to take in a day to live a healthy life? That's next. A landmark ruling has come down from the International Court of Justice. The decision from the UN's top court finds countries can be in violation of international law if they fail to protect the planet from climate change, and countries harmed by its effects could be entitled to compensation. Here to break down what sort of real-world effects this ruling could have, I'm joined by Heather Fast, who is an environmental law instructor at the University of Manitoba and the Policy Advocacy Director at the Manitoba Eco Network. Hello, Heather. Hello. Good to speak to you.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so this case is being dubbed as a bit of a David versus Goliath battle. Tell us why it's being characterized that way.
So I would say this is because most of the discourse around this case is really focused on the kind of discrepancies between who is emitting the most GHGs and therefore contributing the most to climate change versus those who are the most impacted. So unfortunately, since those who are most impacted tend to be kind of small island nations, which is one of the voices we've seen speak up quite a bit in this process, they tend to be small emitters or face challenges that larger emitters don't have in the same way. So basically, it is this kind of, I think that's been highlighted a lot, is this battle of these smaller jurisdictions trying to seek compensation and make sure that there's international laws to protect them. I don't necessarily view it as a David versus Goliath battle. I think this confirms the obligations of all states for everyone and is a beneficial ruling for all citizens who want a better future. But I do suppose that one promising outcome that you already mentioned is the potential for more legal tools like going to court and other opportunities, such as through the International Court of Justice, to bring court cases and other legal proceedings to, again, try and hold some of these bigger emitters or states in general who are not following their obligations responsible. So maybe, again, there's this focus on the empowerment, the potential empowerment of the small states who are most impacted by climate impacts.
So as mentioned, this could be a legal tool. Explain to me, though, it's non-binding. So I'm curious, how could this ruling actually be used?
So in international law and in environmental law, things are really fast developing in terms of our understanding of climate impacts and in terms of the rapidly changes that we're experiencing, things like physical temperature, and we're seeing an increase in things like forest fires, which is particularly significant in Manitoba. So this law is really slow, especially in the area of climate law. So even non-binding decisions can be really helpful and persuasive. There's also a lot of credibility and weight that derives from the fact that this question was answered by the International Court of Justice. It was asked by the United Nations General Assembly, which is one of the most authoritative bodies, in a resolution that was supported by many members. It interpreted binding international laws. So the laws discussed, some of the climate treaties and things are binding. So I would consider it to have legal weight, to be persuasive both internationally and domestically, and again, I think is something that will likely lead to further international and state level developments. So I do think it's impactful in that way. I also think it provides incentives for states to act on the international commitments they've made under the range of the binding treaties that the court's interpreting, and to take action to protect the environment and human health.
So what sort of message does this send to governments and around the world, and what sort of action do you hope it inspires?
So I think there's been a lot of celebration around this decision because it does confirm the importance of collaborative global work to address climate change and mitigate climate impacts. It confirms the right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment as a human right, and the protection of environmental rights are needed to enjoy all other human rights. So I think that's an extremely strong message to send. Basically, I think the outcome and the message to governments is do what you've committed to at the international level, meet those climate targets, biodiversity targets, the sustainable development goals, all of the commitments to recognize and protect environmental rights. And again, this is a message from the world's top legal court of the United Nations. It was unanimously decided, which is very rare, and decided by a whole bunch of different judges from across the world. So it could not have been a more authoritative decision at the international level, at least until we get our first test case out of it. And plus, with the unprecedented levels of engagement at the written and hearing stages, there were so many different states and international organizations involved. I think it's sending a very loud and clear message that climate commitments cannot be ignored and must be a core consideration in all government decision-making processes, not just internationally, but at all levels.
Okay, well, we will leave it there. Heather, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
A new study found alarming levels of forever chemicals in a sampling of reusable menstrual pads and underwear. Reusable period products are growing in popularity among people looking for more eco-friendly options. But researchers stateside detected extremely high levels of PFA substances, also known as forever chemicals, which have been linked to serious health problems. The study analyzed a total of 59 products, including period underwear, reusable pads, and menstrual cups. Researchers did not identify manufacturers, but say the majority of the products were made in the U.S. The study's authors suggest more comprehensive PFA exposure studies are needed to understand its impacts. The study was published in the journal Environmental Science and Technology Letters. We've often been told we need to take 10,000 steps a day to stay healthy, but it seems we might be overstepping. New research finds 7,000 steps might be enough. That's according to a study in the Lancet Public Health. People who took 7,000 steps a day had a lower risk for cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and dementia. The study also found that increasing daily activity by even just 1,000 steps can make a major difference.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Koster Denture Clinic.
The very best in Jewish performance art is coming to Winnipeg. What you can expect from this year's J-Fest. Plus, a giant in the wrestling world has died. Remembering Hulk Hogan just ahead in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Brett Kissel.
The very best in global Jewish art and culture returns to Winnipeg with J-Fest. That is Israeli icon Karen Pelez. She'll be kicking off J-Fest at the Seven Oaks Performing Arts Center. J-Fest welcomes people of all faiths, backgrounds, and demographics. It's a full week of concerts, art exhibits, workshops, and much more. You can also take in some of the selections for this year's International Jewish Film Festival. J-Fest runs from November 1st through 9th. Visit the Rady Jewish Community Center website for more information. Well, here's an opportunity for young people to sharpen their skills on the gridiron. The Minnesota Vikings are bringing their Vikings Youth Flag Football Clinic to Winnipeg next month. The free event is open to anyone aged 6 to 14 who wants to learn flag football skills from the pros, build confidence, and make friends. There are 4 sessions spread out across August 6th and 7th at the Ralph Contafio Soccer Complex on Waverly Street. He was a legend in the wrestling world and pop culture who performed in the ring here in Winnipeg many times over his career. Hulk Hogan has died. Hogan dominated the pro wrestling scene for almost 4 decades. He's remembered for his epic battles with superstars including Andre the Giant and King Kong Bundy. Hulkamania extended beyond the ring, with Hogan appearing in Hollywood blockbusters like Rocky III and 3 television series. The wrestler's cause of death was reportedly cardiac arrest. Hogan was 71. The world's premier event for all things pop culture kicked off today.
It's a place to be every year if you want to see the coolest things, see the latest things, get in with the news, and so that's why we do it every year.
Tens of thousands of people, many in costume, are in San Diego for Comic-Con International. The 4-day event will spotlight updates on the new Predator movie and Alien Earth series. George Lucas will make a special appearance Sunday to discuss his new Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. However, Marvel and DC aren't expected to reveal major movie news this year. Your primetime lineup kicks off at 8 with Good Cop, Bad Cop, and The Rookie wraps up the night at 9, only on CTV.
Her Eras tour may be over, but her new Wax era is just beginning. Where you can find the latest Taylor Swift Wax exhibits still ahead.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
26 degrees in Winnipeg. It feels a little warmer than that, doesn't it? Feels like 29 with the humidex winds out of the west-northwest at 12 kilometers an hour. 26, the highest temperature of the day. That is still the normal high for this time of year and pretty much where we landed on this day a year ago. Tonight, there's the possibility of fog developing overnight, so do watch out for that. We could see fog across southern Manitoba, for that matter. There is a risk of afternoon thunderstorms with a hot high of 30 degrees, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. Ditto Saturday up to 30. Showers likely Sunday, Catherine, just not quite as hot.
Thanks, Colleen. Finally tonight, Taylor Swift is being immortalized in wax. And there's a wax figure for every era and then some. Madame Tussauds is unveiling 13 new wax figures of superstar Taylor Swift. The rollout across 4 continents celebrates the singer's career and her groundbreaking concert tour. 13 new Taylor Swift figures are set to launch in 13 cities worldwide, including Hollywood, Vegas, Nashville, Orlando, New York, and London. The Wax Museum worked with fashion labels to recreate Swift's Eras tour looks. They are so realistic, it's kind of freaky.
Well, her face too, and they don't always look like the person they're meant to.
Sometimes you're like, nice try.
Yeah, that one, they nailed it.
They would have heard from Swifties if they had it, let's be honest.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're very right.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for being with us, and be sure to join Taylor Brock at 11:30. Take care.